Well, hello again, it's Andy, the Derbyshire Royal Rider. I'm doing yet another video. I'm getting out quite a bit while the weather's hot. Make the most of it because it gives rain next week. Now today's ride, it almost didn't happen because my bike decided to have a lay down. It didn't want to come out. Or more to the point, a bit of human error. The Kawasaki Eliminator's only got a side stand on it, so to check the oil in the spyglass, it's only accurate if it's vertical. If it's on its side stand, it shows you've got no oil at all. So I've got like a little piece of edging stone that I can put under the side stand, and it makes it absolutely vertical and gives it that accurate reading. Now it's showing a bit low, so while it's on its stand, I was messing around trying to get the lid off a new bottle of oil, and I must have caught it, and it went over. Now luckily it didn't land on solid ground, which could have done quite a bit of damage. It landed on some gravel. Well, the problem is the gravel's about 3 inches on a lower level than the hard standing where I keep it, so although it didn't do any damage, it took a lot of moving about to get out. I'll just note on the video, just past Mount St Mary's College, which apparently is now shut down. About a year ago, it was there for nearly 200 years. It was a private religious-backed school, and they decided to close suddenly, and it's part boarding school, and there are offers going round for people to go and study in Ireland instead, which seemed a bit of a long commute from Derbyshire, but I presume that just meant for boarders. Anyway, going back to bike falling over, I've got covered with RAC, which includes attention at home. Now I spent about half an hour getting through to them, and they said it don't classify as a breakdown, it classifies as an accident, so I'm not covered for that. I've also got cover from Start Rescue that I kept on from previous bikes, but I know that doesn't cover at home. The bike is far too heavy for me to get up, so I've got some relatives who are quite strong, but they're either not there today or at work, and most of my riding companions live well away because we meet up at Sutton Ashfield for the meets. So in the end I thought I had no option but to get a company out to try and just to stand it up basically. So I called one or two, some weren't available, and then there were one that the recovery cost was £149 just for call out, so I thought, no, it's going to have to stop on ground a bit until somebody's available that can do something with it. But in that, so I looked on Chesterfield Bikers page on Facebook, and I found one that was recommended, and this one's CE Transportation, and he was very efficient, and he came out and recovered. They came out within half an hour and got the bike straight up, and didn't charge very much at all compared with the other quotes I had. So I'll recommend him. I'll put the link onto his business. So like I said, I'm making most of hot weather, and lucky to get out today. In fact, it's got that hot now that my insulation that I've had on since winter has been shaved to the bare minimum, which leads me to I'll give a special mention to Jed, the Matlock biker, who's growing his beard for a whole year for charity, and he must be really suffering in heat like this, so special mention to him. So the topic I was going to talk about is navigation. So I've got a Beeline, as I've mentioned before, but it depends on a pre-planned route on the phone or from the computer. The Beeline app itself isn't very clear to set a route, so what I used to do is set one on Google Maps and then create a GPX file and transfer that to Beeline, and that were fine. But suddenly there seemed to be no compatibility between the Maps to GPX app and the Google Maps where I had set the route. So what I'd been doing is doing the route on Google Maps and then just transferring it by map reference to the onto the Beeline. But I just happened to be watching this tutorial on YouTube from a bloke called BTC Biker, and it recommended a site called My Route App, and it's done a good tutorial how to work it, so I've set my route with that. Now, as I've said that, I make an error here. I turned too early just here, so I've cut that bit out. But that's not the fault of setting it, it's the fact that I turned probably about 100 yards sooner than I should have done. That's the only trouble with Beeline. If there's two junctions close together, you're not always quite sure if you're taking the right one. But that is one disadvantage it's got over like a conventional sat nav. But I still like to use it because it's quite small and unobtrusive, and rather than have something big stuck on handlebars. So today's destination is Rother Valley Country Park. It's a nice lake, although sadly there was a drowning tragedy there fairly recently, and there's been a few this week because it's really hot weather, but still cold water temperatures. So this is somewhere where we used to go quite regularly when daughter was young, and also when we had dogs we'd sometimes take them a walk there. It's an old open casting site that's been turned into a really nice facility with lakes. Built in about 1983, it first opened to the public. It also it reminds me it's the 50th anniversary of the famously hot dry summer of 1976. Plus we also got a hot dry summer the year before. So back then in my teenage years, one of my favourite destinations to go was a place called Flash Dam. It's midway between Chesterfield and Matlock, and I mean that's not. It's like Rother Valley, and it's a nice lake, but it wasn't controlled at all. It was just there, and anybody could go. There were no facilities, just the lake, but it was a brilliant facility. But I think it got spoilt by speedboats going on there and being deemed dangerous for people just going and swimming or wading in there. So I think it got drained to stop it being used, and then that drain holes must have got filled in with something, and but eventually it just closed down altogether. It's currently a holiday cottage site. In fact, a couple of months ago it was a setting for a TV game show called Neighbourhood, which is a bit like a similar thing to Big Brother, where you vote out your least favourite ones, and they must have taken over most of the holiday village to do that. But I'll put on a couple of pictures of Flash Dam. They're not my photos, the ones that I found on old Matlock Pictures or one of the nostalgia sites. So we're just about to turn into Rother Valley. It's quite a long lane down there, and then you turn back on yourself. Now for years there's a little cafe and a craft centre in what I believe was the old farmhouse, but more recently they've opened quite a nice cafe and bar near the the water activities, like water slides and that sort of thing. So I'm just popping down there for a quick bit of liquid refreshment. I've never seen if there's... I mean, there's car park charges now, which are at most places, but it's never been that clear on charging for bikes, because I tried a couple of times to pay, but it doesn't recognise registration because they've only got a camera that picks up front registrations. So it don't pick up any number going in, and then when you're going out it just says registration not recognised and lets you out, although you can get round the barrier on one side going out anyway. But I just wish they'd make it clear that officially, because I know Carsington Water, which is a even more popular facility, that does charge for motorbikes now. It used to be a nice place to stop at, but I do begrudge having to pay same parking rate for a motorbike as you do for a car, so I've not been up there lately. But this one, it's got a nice lake. I believe they used to have jet skis. Well, I recall actually they did have jet skis in the early days of it opening. They used to be really popular things, jet skis. You'd see them on sea as well, and I think it was a separate lake to the main lake, so they weren't causing any danger to any other users. But I've no idea if they're still there. I've certainly not seen them, because sometime last year I parked up and had a walk round the lake. I'm just wondering, did a jet ski still a thing these days, or did they die out? Because they used to be very popular. There's some that you could kneel on, and some that stood up and that you stood up on, and they used to go at quite a speed over water. But no, I've not seen any of them lately. I got security man look at me going in and coming over to see where I go in. I don't know what the idea of that was really, because I don't know if there's any parts of it closed off at the moment. Because if you go down over the bridge and turn right, there's like say the old farmhouse and craft centre, which I believe is still there. I just wondered if it's temporarily closed for some reason, and these chaps are just making sure that I don't go that way. In fact, it's straight ahead actually. The car park's to the right, but the old buildings are straight on as we look at the moment. So whether any of that's closed, because they seem to be making all the vehicles go off to the left here. A few rather sharp speed bumps, but if there's nobody walking past, it's easy enough to go to one side and go round rather than clonk over the middle of them. The route I took today, I know quite well, obviously, the straightforward route from anywhere to Rother Valley, but what I wanted to do was put in a few waypoints, which seemed to be a lot easier to put on with this app than they are with Google Maps. So I'm impressed with it from that point of view. I've not had a proper study, but it looks like part of it might be a pay app. In fact, if you put it down as navigating for bikes, it seems to send you to pay section. So I have actually put in the route for cars, which, as long as I'm not intending finding routes for off-roading, it don't make any difference if I do use the one that says for cars rather than bikes. So that's what I've done, and I've not put any pay details in anything, so I'm assuming it's remaining a free app, and my first impressions is I'm quite pleased with it. well, like I said, I only first discovered it last night, so I will put on in the links and in the pop-up pictures of the person who's done this tutorial, and if anybody's wanting to look at any navigation, I mean, it might not be something new, it might be one that someone's using already, but it's called My Route app, and it did seem quite useful. So I'm just about to park the bike up and going for my drink, and 3 or 4 photos on at the end, just from the outside of the bar area. Oops, somebody pulling out in front of me. So I'll leave it with the pictures coming up, and as usual, my map on the end. I think last time I called here, I went right down to the bottom and had to go a bit further up to find a vacant parking space. So the only thing that happened when it fell over, it knocked one of the mirrors out of place, which weren't too bad really, considering it could have been a lot worse. So it's goodbye until next time then. Cheers.